Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hazim bin Hassan from the group 4 under the topic of single mothers. Did you know that 1.7% of the total population in Malaysia are single mothers? Being divorced while occupied with the busy lifestyle can be a tiring and a detrimental experience, especially when the factors of the divorce are such as uncertain death, financially unstable, and even lack of mutual understanding between the partners. This can increase the risk of having a depression between the single mothers. Thus, my team are investigating the relationship between the depressions and the coping mechanism in two ways, which are secular ways and then the Islamic ways. So let's watch the videos of the documentary of the trip to the Terengganu.
Subject recruitment, and data collection procedures.
A quantitative cross-sectional design was used. It used self-report questionnaires in the examination of the relationship between religiosity and depression, as well as spirituality and depression. Sample size and subject recruitment. The present study was concerned with single mothers from different houses located in Kuala Nerus, Terengganu. Data was collected on 8 April 2023 and was open to all single mothers in Kuala Nerus. A total of 20 single mothers agreed to proceed with the study. Next, data collection procedures. The permission was sought from the instrument formulators to use their instruments and inventories. The item were digitized and the language was made more applicable to the Malaysian context and comprehensible for elderly. Data was collected and keyed in online using Google Forms. The inclusion criteria were willingness to participate, single mother, has read and understood the informed consent as well as instruction for the study, and lastly, were willing to proceed. Thereafter, socio-demographic data which include age, gender, working status, income category, and education level. Following that, the students' depression, religiosity, religious coping, spirituality, and spiritual coping was administered using specific and separate inventories respectively. The data was then exported from Google Forms to Microsoft Excel spreadsheet following a flowing review, and formatting was transferred to SPSS 26.0.
My name is Nur Adlina binti Azmi. I will continue the methodology part.
For the single mother's depression symptoms assessment, Patient Health Questionnaire, which is PHQ, was used. It is a self-administered version of Prime MD diagnostic instrument for common mental disorders. And PHQ-9 is a depression module which consists of 9 questions, starting from criteria 0, which means not at all, 1, several days, and 2, which means more than half the days, and lastly 3, nearly every day. The higher PHQ-9 score indicates higher depression severity. And then, in order to assess single mother's religiosity and religious coping mechanism, Duke University Religion Index, which is DUREL, was used. It is a 5-item measure which describes 3 areas of religiosity, which consists of ORA, which is organized religious activity, NORA, non-organized religious activity, and lastly, IR, which is intrinsic religiosity. Next, for the single mother's secular coping assessment, coping scale was used. It was developed in the year 2013 by Hamby, Grich, and Benyard. It consists of 13 questions which will help to measure individual level of coping skills. The score consists of 4 scales, which is 4 means mostly true about me, 3 somewhat true about me, 2 a little true about me, and lastly 1 which is not true about me. The highest scores indicate a high level of coping skills. Lastly, for the statistical analysis, all statistical analysis was done using IBM SPSS Statistics version 26.0. And then ANOVA was done to compare practice, ethics, and knowledge in terms of age range. And then Pearson correlation was done to assess the relationship between age range, health, and religiosity. The Pearson correlation coefficients then were computed to assess the linear relationship between the quality of health and the coping mechanism.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Shamil Irshad and I will be presenting on the data, result, and analysis obtained from the interview session with single mothers of Peribut.
First and foremost, from the socio-demographic data collected, it was found that 50% or 10 of the single mothers that we interviewed are within the age of 50 to 59 years old, while those below 50 and below 40 both recorded the percentage of 10% or equivalent to 2 persons. The balance of the 6 single mothers or 30% are aged between 60 to 69. And from the educational level, none of the participants have continued their studies to tertiary education, while 65% or 13 participants have completed their education up to the Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM. 3 participants or 15% have successfully completed their education up to the Peperiksaan Menengah Rendah or PMR, and the remaining 4 participants or 20% only have the Ujian Penilaian Sekolah Rendah UPSR certificate. And in terms of working status, out of the 20 single mothers interviewed, 55% or 11 are still working, while 35% and 10% are not working or have retired respectively. In terms of gender, religion and income group, all of the participants are female, Muslims, and belong to the income category of less than 4,850 ringgit. Next, based on the coping scale questionnaire, we have deduced some conclusion from the data where it was found that half of the single mothers, which is 50%, have a minimal depression with a score of 0 to 4. On the other hand, 25% and 20% of the single mothers have mild and moderate depression, respectively, and only one single mother was found to have severe depression with a total score between 20 to 27. To analyze the data obtained, a statistical analysis was performed using IBM SPSS version 26, while ANOVA was used to compare between the age group of our participant, which is split into 3 groups, which are below 50, 50 to 59, and also 60 to 69. Based on Table 4, as Pearson correlation coefficient were computed to assess the linear relationship between severity of depression and coping. There was a positive correlation between this factor. However, a negative correlation was found between the severity of depression and NORA, or personal religiosity. A positive correlation was also noted between coping strategies and intrinsic religiosity, and between aura and NORA. The significant correlation will be further discussed in the discussion part.
My name is Najwa Sakina binti Muhammad Shaykhuddin, and my matric number is 2319362, and now I will present the discussion part.
According to the previous study, Malay single mothers' depression prevalence was 20.2%. On the contrary, the study found that half of single mothers have minimal depression. 1% experience severe depression. It is because the coping strategies used by single mothers help them confront the stress. In this study, it is found that there is no significant correlation between age group, depression, and coping method. This is due to the small sample size, the closeness of age, and the homogeneity of the sample. A small sample size produces results that might not be powerful enough to discern group differences, resulting in decreasing the results precision. The homogeneity of the sample narrows the generalizability. Throughout the study, the results illustrated that single mothers were using secular coping as their coping method. A positive correlation exists between the aspect of this coping method and depression levels in single mothers. This demonstrates that single mothers often used secular coping strategies such as social support to deal with stress and depression. Secular coping reduces feelings of isolation by providing a support network during difficult times. It is also found that the depression level has a significant tie with NORA. The negative correlation between both of these elements is considered absurd. It indicates the more severe depression one has, the less time or less likely for the subjects to spend their time on individual religious activities such as reading Al-Quran, doing daily prayers, or even salawat. The absurdity in this study can be explained by the closeness of age, where there could be young single women that think there is more to life than doing religious activities. Other than that, it is also found that the aspects of aura and NORA produce a positive correlation. When individuals embrace the religious essence of having community-related activities, it will give them more spirit to continue the activities in their personal times. Thus, increasing community engagement will induce one's own devout commitment. For coping mechanisms and IR, there is a positive correlation between these two strategies. Having deep connection with the creator can help individuals having problems to cope more in their lives. From the analysis of results and discussion of the findings, it is concluded that secular coping mechanisms are more approachable and significant in the lives of single mothers to apprehend their obstacles. This can be reasoned with the negative significance of depression level and NORA, whereby the single mother would likely experience severe depression with the increment of devotion in individual religious activities. Thus, the objective of this study is successfully achieved. To conclude, religious and secular coping mechanisms were investigated as the mediator in the relationship between religiosity, spirituality with depression in the single mothers population from different houses located in Kuala Nerus, Terengganu. It was found that in the lives of single mothers, secular coping techniques are more approachable as well as significant to understand their struggles. Using negative strategies such as viewing depression level and NORA, both seem to exacerbate the symptom of the depression. These factors support Malaysia's overall mental health.